very much. I enjoy being there too. Thank you.
Love you, Johnny.
Yeah.
For the record, I want to say that I've lived in Columbus, Georgia 3 times. Every time I lived in Memphis, Tennessee, I told everybody that Johnny Broad was my best friend. I love him. I hope he loves me after tonight.
This will go on.
No, I want to tell a story about Millie Broad. When Sandra and I were living on Coral Drive, and I guess this was the mid-'80s, we were in that phase in life where we had young kids and not a lot of money, and we lived paycheck to paycheck. And one Christmas, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but when people do something special for you and it touches your heart, you usually can remember something very specific about it. And what I remember about this situation was where we were parked. It was after church, and it was the last service before Christmas, and I don't know if that was a Sunday or a Wednesday or a special Christmas service, but everyone had gone except Millie, and at that time Millie and J.W. lived next door to church at Super Safe, and everybody had left except Millie, and then I apparently was locking up that night. Millie waited for us in the parking lot, and Millie gave our children Christmas presents, and that touched my heart, Millie. Thank you very much. You and J.W. invested in Sandra and I, not just through Christmas presents, but through moral support. You and J.W. sang in the choir for me for years, and all those Christmas mugs over there are because you started that. But I love you, and I'm glad to be back in Columbus where you live.
I'm happy to have you back. That's a wonderful gesture.
She's a great lady.
Aye, sir.
The same year that Nell told the story about the pretzels, my adopted mother read a story that has stuck in my mind ever since that time. I called her a few days ago and asked her if she would please read that story and let me record it. And I had it wrong. I thought it was about a Christmas, but it's not. But nevertheless, it's very befitting for a Christmas season, and it has a meaning that I think is everlasting and is irrelevant to time, no matter what season. So Gail's going to come over here because the light.
Actually, this is an Easter story, but when I told David it wasn't a Christmas story, we both agreed that we wouldn't be a Christmas without Easter or Easter without Christmas. So it's an Easter story. Okay. I never forget Easter 1946. I was 14. My little sister Ossie was 12, and my older sister Darlene was 16. We lived at home with our mother, and 4 of us knew what it was to do without many things. My dad had died 5 years before, leaving Mom with 7 school kids to raise and no money. By 1946, my older sisters were married and my brothers had left home. A month before Easter, the pastor of our church announced that a special Easter offering would be taken to help a poor family. He asked everyone to save and to give sacrificially. When we got home, we talked about what we could do. We decided to buy 50 pounds of potatoes and live on them for a month. This would allow us to save $20 out of our grocery money for the special offering. Then we thought that if we kept our electric lights off and turned them out as much as possible, and we wouldn't even listen to the radio, we'd save money on the electric bill. Darlene got as many house and yard cleaning jobs as possible, and both of us babysit every time we could. For 15 cents, we could buy enough cotton loops to make 3 pot holders to sell for $1. We made $20 on pot holders. That month was one of the best in our lives. Every day we counted the money to see how much we had saved. At night we'd sit in the dark and talk about how the poor family was going to enjoy having the money the church would give them. we had about 80 people in church. So we figured that whatever amount of money would be given, the offering would surely be 20 times as much. After all, every Sunday the pastor had reminded everyone to save for that sacrificial offering. The day before Easter, Ossie and I walked to the grocery store and got the manager to give us 3 crisp $20 bills and 1 $10 bill for all of our change. We ran all the way home to show Mom and Darlene. We had never had so much money before. That night, we were so excited we could hardly sleep. We didn't care that we wouldn't have new clothes for Easter. We had $70 for the sacrificial offering. We could hardly wait to get to church. On Sunday morning, rain was pouring. We didn't own an umbrella. The church was over a mile away, but it didn't seem to matter how wet we got. Darlene had cardboard in her shoes to fill the holes. The cardboard came apart and her feet got wet. But we sat in church proudly. I heard some teenagers talking about the Smith girls having on their old dresses. I looked at them in their new clothes and I felt so rich. When the sacrificial offering was taken, we were sitting on the second row from the front. Mom put in the $10 bill and each of us girls put in the $20 bills. As we walked home from church, we sang all the way. At lunch, Mom had a big surprise for us. She had bought a dozen eggs so that we could have boiled Easter eggs to eat with our fried potatoes. Late that afternoon, the minister drove up in his car. Mom went to the door, talked with him for a few minutes, then came back in with an envelope in her hand, and we asked her what it was, but she didn't say a word. She opened the envelope, and out fell a bunch of money. There were the 3 $20 bills, the 1 $10 bill, and 17 $1 bills. Mom put the money in the envelope. We didn't talk. We just sat and stared at the floor. We had gone from feeling like millionaires to poor white trash. We kids had such a happy life, and we felt sorry for anyone who didn't have our mother and dad for parents, and for our house full of brothers and sisters and other kids visiting constantly. We thought it was fun to share silverware and see whether we got a fork or a spoon. And we had 2 knives, and we shared those. I knew we didn't have a lot of things that other people had, but I never thought that we were poor. That Easter day, I found out that we were. The minister had brought us the money for the poor family, so we were poor. I didn't like being poor. I looked at my dress and worn out shoes, and I felt so ashamed that I didn't want to go back to church. Everyone there possibly knew now that we were poor. I thought about school. I was in the 9th grade and the top of my class in over 100 students. And I wondered if the kids at school knew that we were poor. I decided I could quit school since I had finished the 8th grade, and that was what the law required at that time. We sat in silence for a long time. Then it got dark, and we went to bed. All that week, we girls went to school and came home, and no one talked very much. Finally, on Saturday, Mom asked us what we wanted to do with the money. What did poor people do with money? We didn't know. We'd never known we were poor. We didn't want to go to church on Sunday, but Mom said we had to. Although it was a sunny day, we didn't talk on the way. Mom started to sing, but nobody joined in, so she only sang 1 verse. At church, we had a missionary speaker. He talked about how churches in Africa were making buildings out of sun-dried bricks, but they needed money to buy roofs. He said $100 would put a roof on a church. The minister said, can we all sacrifice to help these poor people? We looked at each other and smiled for the first time in over a week. Mom reached into her purse and pulled out the envelope. She passed it to Darlene. Darlene passed it to me, and I handed it to Ossie, and Ossie put it in the offering. When the offering was counted, the minister announced that it was a little over $100. The missionary was excited. He didn't expect a large offering from such a small church. He said, you must have some rich people in this church. Suddenly it struck us. We had given $87 of a little over $100. We were the rich people in the church. Hadn't the missionary said so? From that day on, I've never been poor again. I'll always remember how rich I am because I have Jesus.
Awesome. Go tell about
That's good.
losing the story and getting the story. Didn't you have it and then you didn't have it?
I was teaching Sunday school, and I had read it to the class, and it was, they were awestruck just as I was. And I've kept it all these years. I think it was in 1996 that was in the Mountain Movers. But I gave it to one of the children because they wanted to take it home and share it with somebody. And I don't know how long it was, but I called the publishing house, and they immediately sent it to me.
They mailed it to you?
They mailed it.
Like, what was it?
The first thing she's going to say is, oh, this piano's out of tune. I already know that. You don't have to tell us.
I didn't say a word.
No.
That sounds like we need to hear that song.
Well, I would love to. Right now, I couldn't even sing What Child Is This the other night because I've had to.